All right, people, get on in here. We have got so much to talk about. We've got the death of DOGE 8 months ahead of its predicted end in the charter. We've got all sorts of pivoting that's going on from the White House, which has serious potential to go the right direction. We have far left Young Turks and I actually on the same page about an observation, which is a wild world we're living in. An underlying principle of the swamp is the main issue. We go towards the swamp, we go a bad direction. We go towards populism and the people and the country, we go in a good direction. And that's what we're going to explore right now. So as you guys get in here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Everything that we do on this channel is oriented to giving you the information to save our country together because, damn it, it's worth it. And I hope you enjoy this content. Of course, the likes, the shares, the comments, the emojis, everything in the chat over here makes the notifications go out. And thank you guys for that engagement. All right, we got 5x5. We've got all the things that we need. Let's jump right into this. All right. One of the things that you guys have to understand, and hold on, let me mute that real quick because I don't want to deal with that the whole time because that's going to be a problem. We get all spicy, we get text messages and calls. Muted. All right, we're here. Here's the thing, people. We got audio, we got video, we got notifications. This is amazing, guys. Make sure you give me feedback on this one and active commentary action because I need to know where we are on this. Now, we're going to walk through a bunch of things. Some of them are going to be sucky to hear, and some of them are going to be good to hear. I have to walk through how I agree with an observation from the Young Turks on the far left. So, we're all in this together. We're taking bruises, but we're going to come out on the right side of this. All right, listen. As you guys are factoring in, I'm going to warm you up with something which should make you laugh a little bit. We're going to watch, I can't even say, Jasmine Crockett, and she's going to talk about running for Senate in Texas. Yo, if this is not an appetizer to get you in the mood, I don't know what is. Watch this.
I am still thinking about running. We did get our polling back, so we are moving on to the next phase to determine whether or not this is would make sense in the moment and if the infrastructure can be built out in the way that I see it being necessary to actually be able to win, as well as we are continuing to look at the polling on the other side. Listen, they are in a civil war right now on the Republican side as it relates to who will become their nominee.
All right, so I have to interject this right now. This is the part where we're going to have two sides of this coin in the conversation. There is a difference in the Republican disagreements that are happening in the base and the Democrats' agreement that is, or disagreements that is in the base. Now, you've heard me say many times, the civil war that's occurring in the Democrats is based on fact, and I can prove all of it. I source every single thing on every video. It's all supplied for the general commentary support, right? The stuff on the right, and this is a very important distinction, the stuff on the right is literally policy preferences and refinement. The stuff on the left is destruction. There's a difference. The left is going down this road of you're either progressive or not progressive enough, and you are going to get out of the Democrat Party because the parasitic woke is going to take over the DNC. And on the right, it's, we want this policy, no, we want this policy, what are you doing, we need to refine policy. There is a very big difference between a civil war and a refining of policy. And it's my goal to make sure that refining policy is brought forward to the table versus any type of tit for tat. That's my own personal thought on it. And I see the comments in the chats over here, but we are going to get it. All right, let's get back to this because if she runs for Senate, it is a gift, manna from heaven, because, oh my goodness, that's a whole different video for a different time. Watch this.
John Cornyn has served the state of Texas for decades at this point in time in some capacity. And right now, I don't know if he's MAGA enough to make it through his primary, but we are evaluating all things and seeing what it would look like to put together a team. And we will make a final decision by Thanksgiving on whether or not we're going to ultimately move forward.
What did the polling information that you got back show? I mean, is it a calculation of whether or not you're going to be facing Cornyn, who might have more appeal to moderates in your state, centrists in your state, as opposed to a more MAGA candidate who potentially defeats Cornyn in the primary that you might, or any Democrat might, have a better chance against?
I'll tell you this, that head-to-head, we are doing really well against Paxton. I will say that. I will also tell you that we are actually within the margin of error as it relates to John Cornyn.
Okay, that's a whole nother video. We are literally making notes on notes on notes on videos for the upcoming week. But this woman is looking to maintain her policy position in a government, in a federal level, because her seat got smoked. Like, that's what's happening. And now my polling is within the margin of error in Texas. Texas. Like, this is not in Virginia. This is not in Michigan. This is not in Pennsylvania. This is in Texas. Okay? I mean, like, grasp at straws much. All right, and there's a super chat over here I got to address real quick because this one's comical. Limpid Arch with a $6.99 super chat, I believe from Canada. I think that's what that says, Canada. Hey, Braden, a buddy of mine went on Twitter yesterday and claimed your account is from India. Is that true? I have the best American accent ever if I'm from India. No, that would be not true. In fact, I actually got tagged on that same post on my X account, and it's a handwritten India. Like the image is actually like handwritten with font that doesn't match, and it's photoshopped and all that. No, I'm fairly certain that I was raised in Georgia and Southern through and through, and now I live in the South still. So no, I'm still pretty confident on that. But that was a funny one. I enjoyed that super chat. All right, another super chat from Mike Yoon 199 says I actually got notified tonight. Amazing. I will count my lucky stars. We are on the path of goodness. All right. Braden, let's get spicy. We'll see what happens. This is going to be one of those shows where we're going to have a little bit of a Sour Patch approach. We're going to have sour and we're going to have sweet. And at the end, we're going to be hopefully less satisfied. All right, let's just keep going. I'm going to get in trouble if I keep on going on that one. Here we go. I'm going to show you something in kind of reverse order really quickly. I'm going to do this video in reverse order because they are responding to something. And this is a really important piece to this. And this is going to be echoed through this entire video. Donald Trump just came out, and I'll show you the video, where he is going to double down on his healthcare ACA or Obamacare money to the people versus money to the corporations plan. Okay, that's a direct outflow from the shutdown, which seemed to be popular. A lot of people responded, and now he's going to do it. But that's not the real reason why he's doing it. I'm going to show you that in a second. Okay, here's the underlying principle. You know what? I'm not going to do it. Trump's good at talking about stuff on camera. Watch this. I'm going to play this clip, and then I'll kind of give you the other side of this and why it's happening. But again, if you know this channel and you've been here for a while, please, you have to understand, we focus on the why, we don't focus on the what. We have to look at the kernel of what's going on and driving everything else. All right? Let's keep on going. Watch him. Take it away, Trumpster.
Going to go down. It went the exact opposite with the biggest increase of healthcare in any country. It's a disaster. And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own health care, which will be far better and far less expensive than the disaster known as Obamacare. And I've had...
All right. This is a very important part, and this is going to be the underlying theme of a lot of videos going forward, and you can mark it down. You can literally write it. You can save this video. You can put a post, and you can post stamp it. I don't care. But objectively, you are going to see what we're about to cover and discuss for the next 11 months. Okay, here we go. Watch. You've got a big problem in perception in general, right? The perception is our country is run for the oligarchs. Our country is run for those in power. There's a two-tier standard of justice. The people in power don't have any consequences. The people who are on the bottom end of the ladder, everybody else, have all the consequences. There is a significant amount of disdain for the elite ruling class versus the populist class, which is why you have all of the populism sprouting up from the bottom, angled towards the top. That's where the struggle is showing up. Now, what's interesting is the way that it's representing itself. And let me hear in the comments, chats, and emojis over here, because this is the part where I need your feedback on this, and we're going to go the rest of the way supporting this. The left. The left is responding to all the populism and the anger and the expense and the cost and everything that's happening, a hangover from COVID, with socialism. The right is responding to all the frustration and the catalyst and the populism in a nationalistic manner. You have a nationalist movement, which is America First, which is the Make America Great Again, which is the immigration stuff, which is the funding, everything. That's nationalist. And then socialism is showing up as, well, we're just going to basically take over the means of production and we're going to control everything from a command and control economy. These two things cannot work together. And when they do cross, very bad things happen. Okay? However, what you're looking at right now is the left and the right, socialism and nationalism. But its underlying principle based in populism, the frustration with the way things are in the two-tier justice system, the two-tier everything system, okay? That's the way that I see it. You guys can let me know what you think over here, but I don't see any other way this reflects. But this is why you're seeing this. You're seeing the White House respond to this because, frankly, it's hitting them. It is, objectively. That doesn't mean I don't agree with policy positions. That just means objectively, on the facts and the polling and the perception, it's hitting them. And it is. Because this guy walked in as the solution for populism. That's what his whole thing was. And if you start losing that perception, you lose that shine, you're going to start to see issues pop up. And again, we're going to get into the DOGE thing in a second. We're going to get all of this. I have no problem providing feedback. But we're going to do this for the betterment of our country. All right, keep on going. Watch this. Trumpy, take it away.
I think great support. I've even had Democrat support. So we want the money that would be going to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. You know, their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So I want the money to go directly to you, the people. And you go out and you'll buy your own health insurance and you'll negotiate different plans and you'll get much better insurance and you will be an entrepreneur for yourself. So I'm always willing to work with anyone, including the other party. We'll work on something having to do with health care. We can do a lot better. We can do great. So much money is involved. And we're willing to pay so much money to the people. So we're going to pay a lot of money to the people. They're going to go out and buy their own health care. And we're going to forget this Obamacare madness. So with all of that, I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape.
Now, that little part at the end right there, that's a fantastic thing to say. And I agree, our country has the brightest days in front of it going forward. We're gonna stub our toes and go through growing pains just like we always do, but the brightest days are in front of us. If you know this channel, you know that is literally my ethos. That is my mantra. Like we are blessed beyond measure to even be having these conversations, so we're going to move forward. Like fantastic futures in front of us. But if people don't share that on the overall population, you're going to struggle. And that's just objectively true. Now, if you're putting the conversation in the argument, which is, again, I'm going to start tying this all together like we always do in these live streams. If you start tying all of these populism elements like, hey, why are we giving money to corporations for healthcare when they can just give them to the people and then make their own decisions? That's going to be popular. Some people, and watch this. Some people are going to make bad decisions with that money. And some people will make good decisions with that money. That's called reality. But that doesn't mean that the government has to be there as a guiding hand to protect you and basically control your every move to protect you from yourself. That's not the move. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, is they're going to push this really, really, really hard. This is probably going to be a 2026 push, along with some money rebates from the tariffs and some other things that are aimed at the populism angle. Because the shine of populism is struggling, according to independents and to the well, obviously the Democrats, but some Republicans. Okay, watch. This is where it all ties together, because you're looking at an absolute pivot back towards the populist, and it's just now starting. I told you the Democrats are going towards affordability a week and a half ago. Affordability is a big thing they're pushing. I'm telling you, this is the way that it's going to be happening. Just in, President Trump is demanding Congress immediately pass the SAVE Act, which would require in-person voter registration and nationwide proof of citizenship. Okay. Again, this is where I start to put the pieces together for you guys and kind of present to you what's happening. See right here, in the same day, you've got all the ACA or the Obamacare subsidies and all the money going to the people versus the healthcare organizations, which is what helped Trump and the Republicans beat the Democrats in that shutdown. And then he just said it. And now he also just said in-person voter registration and nationwide proof of citizenship. Y'all, that's pivoting back to campaign promises. That's what that is. That's two different things that are aimed at the populist angle of the coalition of the Republicans, the MAGA, the conservatives. That's what is happening. And you're going to see more of it too. because the things that we're about to go into. When you lose the mandate and the mission perception of what you were sent in for, which is beginning to happen in independence, this is what you get. People respond. Honestly, I like when they respond. I'll provide feedback all day long to help them respond. But when you stick your head in the sand like the Biden administration did and said, no, everything's getting better. If you disagree, you're some sort of ist or phobe and you're not a true Democrat and get out of our party and how dare you say anything against Biden, that's when it goes wrong. You have the option. You get pushback and you either listen and heed the advice or you completely and totally ignore it and say, screw you, read between the lines. I can promise you one of those things doesn't work. All right, let's keep on going. Again, let me hear you in the comments, the chats, and the emojis, because everything I just showed you is the response to this stuff. Ron DeSantis just posted, DOGE fought the swamp and the swamp won. Breaking the Department of Government Efficiency no longer exists per Reuters. Okay? You know how I told you earlier on in this that the sheen of the populism, the sheen of the Elon Trump partnership, the fallout of the Elon Trump partnership, the DOGE, the money savings, the money reallocation, the exposing corruption. Well, all of that is a big part of that populism that we're talking about. The people loved the idea of DOGE. Washington, D.C. and the swamp didn't. That's why Ron DeSantis is saying right here, DOGE is gone, the swamp won. Okay? Let's keep on going. I'm going to show you all of these things because I'm telling you, this is the path that's about to be laid out in front of you guys. You're getting tomorrow's news today, in my opinion. Breaking. The Department of Government Efficiency no longer exists per Reuters. Reuters. Man, my words are not working right. And here's even more and more stuff. Let me get a couple of these super chats because another one just came through. I just want to make sure I'm caught up on these guys because I owe it to you guys to do super chats. I am not going to leave you out in the cold, adrift of guidance on this safari of freedom. We have a Faith Over Fear 25 with a $50 super chat. Thank you very much. I am a deaf veteran. I pray that the deaf community is able to be involved better in these programs. It seems everything in the program, especially the VA, is not deaf friendly. I cannot take care of myself because of this. So if that's part of it, Faith Over Fear, I appreciate the super chat. I think speaking to what they're going for the money going and choosing their own healthcare versus the VA programs and all the other stuff. I think that's what he's talking. That's a really, sorry, I'm processing this. That's actually a really great point. And that kind of goes down to what I think this right here would really be beneficial in. If you have your own money and you have your own choices, I mean, if you pick something better than you, like in this case, a special needs point, that actually is a hell of a good argument. Because if you've got a special need from a standpoint of either you are deaf or you're hard of hearing, you need this kind of support, and they don't have it funded by a government program, but you can use that same money to actually pick and choose what's better for you, specifically based on your anatomical needs, that's a hell of an argument. Excellent super chat. Thank you very much, Faith Over Fear. I appreciate that. That's awesome. All right, let's keep on going because this part right here, this is where the populism sheen needs to be readdressed. We need to get the old polish and varnish out and just buff that elitism crap out. DOGE doesn't exist with 8 months left on its charter. Now, this is going to cause people to be pissed. I mean, like, objectively, and this is the part where I'm telling you, I led with what they're doing, and now I'm telling you why they were doing it. DOGE doesn't exist with 8 months left on its charter. If the entire point was to weed out corruption and the entire point was to cut the extravagant spending and bring down the spending and bring in more money and more revenue to pay down the debt, which is a huge part of the platform, which most of you, I would bet you 99.9% of you guys agree with. Let me know in the emojis and the chats and the comments over here. Support that point because I'm trying to get feedback and solicit this while we go forward because this is all cutting today. If you lose this, you've lost your appeal. And you don't want to lose the perception which drives the appeal. I think that what you're seeing, and again, I'm going to get to more of this in a second, you're seeing that aged Jesus. The Obamacare stuff going directly to people to spend their own puts the Democrats in a position where they have to defend corporate healthcare companies, which will be funny to watch. And that's a very good point. And then there's America related to in-person voter registration and nationwide proof of citizenship, which every country has. That is the populism move that is coming from this stuff, because this stuff is going to lose support. This kind of goes back to the DOJ thing where you have the DOJ pissing on different constituency groups. You can't piss on different constituency groups when you have a coalition, because then you don't have a coalition. I mean, it's just objectively politics. I don't want that to happen. I'm telling you what the risk of that is. But now we come to a point which, y'all, I never thought I'd say in my entire life. I am actually about to agree with something that Cenk Uygur said on the Young Turks. I'm not happy about it. I'm not, but I owe it to you guys to be objectively honest, because something that he says here about the observations that are going on in the population is astute. To be candid, it is astute. I don't agree with any of his policy positions. I don't think there's like a single policy position of his that I'm like, oh, that's worthy of thought. I just like diametrically opposed. However, it doesn't mean he doesn't have eyes, right? So let's get on to this. If I have to do it, we have to do it together. Watch this. This is important. Let me hear you in the chat, the comment, and the emojis on this, guys, and let's pop it.
I mean, I think it's obvious, and I've been saying, well, it's not obvious because other people didn't say it, but I've been saying it for now a month or so. Why, especially in the last month? The mass deportations look ugly. People don't like it. All the independent shows turned against it. Most importantly, the affordability. He hasn't helped it at all, and he seems to have ignored it. The Epstein files did massive damage, right? Massive. Because it wasn't just about Epstein. It was that Trump lost the veneer of being a populist. And instead he became another establishment elitist working against the people. And that perception has hurt him more than anything else. But as we suspected, the bottom has dropped out on a couple of demographics: the young, the independents, and Latinos.
Yeah.
All right, that part with the specific stuff, I'm not going to get into because they were literally 12 months out of an election. I mean, like, we're going to talk about this a lot. But what I want to say and give him credit for, and again, I try to be fair on this channel. I try to bring you guys objective, fair stuff. I'm not just going to force feed you stuff. Losing the veneer of populism is what is going to be the either death or fixing it going to be the salvation of the entire thing. It's that it really is that simple in my eyes. Because the veneer of populism, when everyone thinks that you are there for them, but you have the perception being lost that you aren't, that's going to be an issue. It can be fixed. 100% can be fixed. Absolutely. But when I'm in a point where I'm agreeing with an observation of the Young Turks, I really don't know where we are in life. But you know what? I do know my guiding principles. I do know the Constitution, and I know we will end up in a good place. Let me bring this next segment. This one starts at 4:30. I had to mark down these times because I'm not making you watch a 16-minute video of this guy. I can't do it. I just can't do it. All right, so 4:30. Let's go to this one. This is an interesting point, but there's a few chats there that I want to hit on. Who took the polls and where? Ludger Will Gaster said. See, here's the thing. I can't tell you that information, and I can tell you polls are drastically wrong all the time, right? I mean, you guys will agree over here. I give you as much data as I possibly can, and I go through all the Real Clear Politics to give you an aggregate data sample. I try to give you everything you need, okay? But sometimes I don't need polls to look at the campaign promises, the desires of the Trump MAGA movement, the populism, to know that some things will be unpopular. Like, you want a really great example? A really great example would be the H-1B visa stuff. That's incredibly unpopular. It just is, objectively. Elon Musk floats it, he loses credibility. Donald Trump floats it, there's a big backlash. I mean, H-1B visa thing, that's not popular because Americans don't have jobs, Americans don't have support, Americans don't have this. There's a reason. And then you've got the immigration stuff, very popular, which Cenk Uygur is about to say. Again, what? Just watch. I'm telling you, like, I don't always have to have polls. Polls are really helpful and they are indicative of what's going on, but I'm not heavily reliant on them because sometimes you just have to use your eyes. Anyway, all right, watch this. This is at 4:30. If you guys are following along, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. Let me know if I'm over the target, and let's get it.
Numbers held steady for quite some time. So as people were seeing it a month ago, go, no, well, Cenk, it's still holding steady, right? I was like, I know, that's a picture in time. But the underlying stuff is terrible. And by the way, same thing we said about Biden. Before his numbers collapsed, I said, yeah, but the underlying trends are disastrous for Biden. So same thing here. So what are the...
And this is another one of these points, and I got a couple things he's going to say that are, I think, astute points. What did I say 2-3 days ago in our live stream about affordability and sticking your head in the sand and either agreeing or disagreeing or noticing or addressing, right? Biden did that example that I just said earlier in this show. When I said Biden and the administration said, how dare you criticize me? I don't have dementia. I can't finish a sentence on national TV, but you can't criticize me. I'm the king. Everything's fine. How dare you say it's expensive? They got shellacked. Because you can't argue with people's perception and feeling. You're just not going to do it. If I sit here and tell you, guys, everything is the cheapest that it's ever been, it doesn't make it true if I say it. It makes it true how you feel in your own perception. Like, you can't just tell somebody, yeah, no, what you believe and what you see and what you feel is completely false and what I'm telling you is real. That just doesn't work. If you have an R, a D, or an I don't care. If you're a human, that doesn't work. Because everyone has their own perceptions. You all do. Like over here in the chats and the comments, I can tell if you guys are agreeing or not agreeing based on your sentiment, not based on if I tell you you are, right? That's the entire point. Even Biden did it. They're saying it. It's going to underlying themes and trends. Let's keep on going.
Underlying trends. So first of all, with independence, in the beginning, he closed the border. Independents loved that, right? And so young people and a lot of folks liked that he did that. At that point, he still has the veneer of populism, as I explained earlier. And guys, what was propping him up was the deep unpopularity of the Democratic Party, down at 28-29% approval. So they're like, what choice do we have? And we just voted for this guy. And presidents are always more popular at the beginning of their terms. Barack Obama, after inauguration, right around that.
Yeah, I don't care about Barack Obama's numbers. That was 20 years ago. All right, here's the thing. And this is why I showed this clip. When you have all of the things that are going for you and you have your political opponents being as disjointed and as sucky as the Democrats are currently. By the way, currently, if you've been watching our other videos, you know that they just took out $15 million in loans just to float their own campaigns and their payroll. They had Obama come in and give a little pep rally to the younger Democrats because they're getting their face stepped on. I mean, it's not all sunshine and roses over on Team Blue. In fact, this is like the first 5 days of the last 10 years where it hasn't been, could you guys stop sucking? But anyway, this is the whole point. If you're looking at the populism, if you're looking at underlying trends, you're all fine and dandy. Even Cenk Uygur just said on the left progressive network, the Young Turks, that the immigration policies of shutting the border was popular. Independents like that. So, okay. This is my whole point. The Democrats were against immigration forever. They told you there was no problem, there was no border, there was no issue. It goes to the underlying saying in the old phrase, you can't pee on my head and tell me it's raining. Like, you cannot tell people, what's the best way to say that? You cannot dictate their reality. You cannot tell people what their reality is. That just doesn't work. Anyway, let's keep on going. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. There's not. Heck with him. All right. Now, let's see where we're at on this. 27 minutes, perfect time to wrap this up. I want to do that one or I want to do this one? I want to do this one. I definitely want to do this one. And guys, if you're enjoying the content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. I really think that this is the move that we need to do as a nation and as a movement, and we are moving in that direction. So if you're in agreement with that, please let me know in the comments, chats, emojis, subscribe, like, share, all the things. All right, here we go. This, I think, is a fantastic way to wrap up and surmise this entire thing. There is a cultural rot, and we're going to go big on this before I show you what Scott Jennings just said. There's a cultural rot in Washington, D.C. We all hate it. I mean, all of us. It goes back to the populism thing. Whether you are the top 1% or you are the bottom 1%, if you are a Republican or if you are a Democrat, if you're an independent or if you're an agnostic, everyone despises Washington, D.C. I mean, like, if there's one thing we can unify around, it's that no one likes D.C. Everyone knows and smells the swamp, the corruption, the gross, everything. Bunch of rats looking around for their own personal best interest. And everyone knows it. But this exchange, I think, is an important one to show you. All right, so this part is Scott Jennings talking with Kara Swisher. Lefty versus righty. Correlates on the screen. Left, right. They're talking about Hunter Biden's laptop, not for the contents, but for what the actual event represented. And listen to what she says versus what he says. And this is indicative of the entire problem. Watch.
Any dispute of that, other than from these 50 people who come from government, who are in and out of government when Democrats are in power.
That's politics to me, Scott. I mean, you're not naive. They were making their case, just like you would say Trump just did with whatever issue he has.
Well, I don't agree that it's just a simple matter of making your case. When you use your government title and you use your intelligence bona fides and you use all your credentials to flat out lie to the American people, they didn't know that. That was a political argument, but they were saying this is Russian disinformation. What you're reading is directly out of the Kremlin. It was one of the biggest lies that was told to try to get Joe Biden over the finish line. Do you think that's just politics as usual?
Yes, I do, actually.
Okay, y'all, this is the point, and I might do the rest of this, I might not. I can't remember. This is the whole point. You have people in the political sphere on both sides and their apparatus, and I get it. That's what they do, right? And I don't like it, but they do it. The woman on the left literally just said the 50 CIA employees who came out and said that the Hunter Biden tapes and computer was Russian disinformation. They were just playing politics. They were trying to get their guy over the finish line. That's just everyday politics. No. Everyday politics is someone saying, my policies are better. I'm for the little guy. I'm for the big guy. I'm for foreign wars. I'm not for foreign wars. I'm for foreign interventionism. I'm for isolationism. Those are policy arguments and political arguments. Lying directly to people's faces about things that affect the outcome of an election because you want your own best interest satisfied, that's not politics as general. That's called corruption. Using your advantage in the CIA infrastructure to say something is abjectly Russian information when it is not you taking part in the political process. That is you feeding a narrative to get your preferred political outcome through lies, manipulation, and distrust of the American people. That's what that is. And if you want to know why everyone hates them, you're looking at it. Because they will determine what the greater good is. They will determine what is the best thing for the country. And if they have to lie to you and they have to tell you things, they have to speak mistruths and present false information, and they have to do all these things, that's just politics as normal. Then we have a much bigger problem. Just saying. Let's play it. Maybe there's a little bit more in here. Let me hear you in the comments, chats, emojis as we kind of go through this, because this is a spicy one.
I think I do.
You like it?
Absolutely. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I
don't like Trump meddling with Intel. I don't like Trump meddling with the tech companies. I don't like the paper play that looks like it's available right now for these companies. I know why they're doing it. I know why they're paying this money. I know why they're giving them money. This is not a new and fresh thing. And I think the tech companies will go wherever their bread is buttered. That's really pretty much how I look at them.
Can I make one more comment about, because I think it's an important debate. You had that issue going on, and then there was, there's also been questions about what was kept from the American people or what information was, downplayed from the American people during COVID. I mean, there were people that had opinions or ideas about COVID and what was going on during that time, and people lost access to social media. People, had their opinions, villainized. Turns out some of those people were right, and the people who were censoring them were wrong. And so I guess my point is this. There is a general feeling that if the elites make a decision about what the narrative is going to be, they can crush you, and they can either coerce tech companies into crushing you, they can coerce media into crushing you, but the crushing of opinions and dissent in this case, I think it left a bad taste in people's mouth.
I guess I could just say Brandon Carr right now making threats against Disney. I could say lawyers. I guess I could say, it's quite similar. I mean, tastes the same, tastes like chicken to me, as the expression goes.
What information about Donald Trump is being censored from the American people?
I think these are private companies. They can do whatever they want, Scott. And I don't think it was coerced or colluded.
Okay, well that's kind of a stupid point. I mean, come on. What has not been said about Donald Trump that was mostly true or all the way not true? I mean, come on. A little bit of honesty would go a long way. But this is the whole point. Scott Jennings said it. He nailed it. There's an overt narrative that if you say anything against the existing power structure or the existing oligarchs or the existing upper crust, you will be crushed. Whether you're crushed by corporations or you're crushed by cancellation or you're crushed by taxes or you're crushed by financing or you're crushed by audits or you're crushed by all these different pieces. That's the point. I think Scott Jennings is underselling it. I think the idea that it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths is a very, very mild expression of what actually happened. I think people got so pissed off and so agnostic and so sold out on the idea that our country is just corrupted and gone. I think that's actually what it did. It defeated the perception of our country. And not defeated, damaged. Sorry, it will never be defeated. Not while I'm breathing. But I think that's the big point. But it speaks to everything I'm talking about. Whether you're going from Donald Trump going back towards the populist side, whether you're talking about the Democrats going towards the elitism side, the oligarch side, whether you're having cats and dogs sleep together by me and Cenk Uygur agreeing on something, I don't freaking know. But we're at the beginning of something here, people. We really are. And if you guys are down for the ride, I'd love to have you join and subscribe. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it out. Emojis, chats, comments, all that engagement genuinely makes the world go round. I love each and every one of you just the right amount. Let me know if I landed this plane, and I will see you guys on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.